tell them one thing. Just win, baby.
All right, all right. Yep, there you go. Okay,
Yeah.
so how's it going, Raider Nation Jasin? So this is the first time that I have any you on this special episode of Sipping on Black Experience. And of course, we're just talking about how very important it's gonna be, like the training camp, the preseason, and of course, all those things about the Sibling Black Nation. So welcome.
Oh man, welcome. Man, it's good to be here, man. Can you hear me good? I'm testing out a new system, so
Ah, yes, yes, yes. We can
oh,
hear you. Yes,
oh,
we can hear you.
then we're gonna rock it, man. I appreciate you, man. You were present my first live. You know what I mean? Like when I went on with Raider Holly. So salute to you, man. I appreciate you having me on.
All right. So then, first of all, we gotta talk about what's happening to right now for the Raiders, because on right now seems like they have it as so having it so great weapons right here, but right now it seems like they have to the team of Marcus Peter, because when I just found out the information about they're likely to sign off Marcus Peters because he was a former Baltimore Ravens and Courage Fantasy cornerback, and he was visited for a month for 1 month ago, and he was left without a contract. He's still available for the upper market, but according for that, because there seems to likely to see a veteran cornerback, Marcus Peter, before the training camp, and of course they had it currently because they had cornerbacks like Nate Hobbs, Duke Shelley, David Long Jr., Robinson, Tyler Harr, Jacorian Bennett. Oh, yeah, it seems like a little trouble right here for the connection. So
Okay.
can we just set it up? Okay, so any thoughts about Marcus Peters going to the Raiders?
As an Oakland native, you know, like I would love to see Marcus Peters on our side. When he came into the league, he started off a Kansas City Chief, and man, he had a big impact like his first year. Like, and it seemed like he had a vengeance against us because man, he had a couple picks against us at least
Yeah.
first couple of games. But I would be excited to see him because for one, it's a vet, presence right there. It's someone that we know is going to compete every play. You know, he's a very competitive guy, a little bit too competitive sometimes, but I'll take over competitive rather than under. I think I know he's towards the latter of his career, but I believe he still has enough. It's kind of similar to like when Casey Hayward came. Just a veteran presence where he's going to show up and hopefully lock down his side of the field, and that'll kind of take the pressure off Hobbs and like the younger guys too. That'll give someone, and it's like we can it'll just make our team even deeper. So
Hmm. Yeah, that was really great because when I just found out that the Marcus Peters about the signing like the veteran quarterback, because we thought that it's gonna be like more power in the defense, because last season we just totally sucked because right now we had to improve a lot of more, especially at the red zone issues that we just worry about it. And right now, something like the veteran quarterback, it depends on how speedy he was and about his ability, and of course the cash pays that we're talking about it. And one of the next topics that we're talking about, because how Las Vegas Raiders got one of the best running backs of the NFL history. Because if the New York Giants had Saquon Barkley, and the other teams they had Derrick Henry or Nick Chubb, but right now for us, Las Vegas Raiders, they just have Josh Jacobs, and he's one of the most productive rushing attacks in the league because he didn't get enough for the rest of the running back stable because they had not only Josh Jacobs but also Samir White, I mean Abdullah and Brandy Bolin. They're just combining 165 rushing yards. But you just got to take it about for the going to the 33 season. But I will say this because Josh Jacobs, he got that power and he needs to pay that man. Well, Jacobs is very expected to be like a back on 2023 on the franchise tag or a new deal. Don't be surprised if the Raiders got to try to take some more like rest of the season. But if anybody else that I had that with this one, because he had a career high of 393 touches in 2023, and that team cannot afford to put many out of the body this year. But I think this is gonna be he has one of the best, incredible running backs right here. I mean, you cannot disagree with Josh Jacobs. I mean, he had the power, the speed, and he has everything that the running back doesn't have. And I think this is the opportunity to see it like a franchise tag or anything else, because he will do it like anybody else. But it seems like they'll have it options for the worst case scenario because they're about to break it out this summer. Because whenever the back in March, after the organization, they slapped the franchise tag on Jake as ever the March on time for the contract extension. Because there's like only updates with no updates, but they had to steal apart until July 17th, but the clock is right now ticking. So right now there's a lot of options that are like for the running back if Josh Jacobs had to go to see it like it because there's another options like Ezekiel Elliott or Devin Cook. So tell me about the situation about the contract of Josh Jacobs and how is he a great running back on the history of the NFL nowadays?
So, going back to when we drafted Josh, he was
Mm-hmm.
actually really one of the guys I wanted us to draft, and I was so excited that we actually drafted him because you know how it is as Raider fans. There's players we're like, oh yeah, I hope that we draft this guy. Like this year, I was hoping it was either Witherspoon or Gonzalez. That was my personal pick, but you know, uh, Tyree Wilson's was that pick. But for Josh, like I liked his lateral movement. I like he's a tough kid. Going back to like his story as like him and his father and his brothers like living in their vehicle. You know what I'm saying? It's been a rough road for him. So seeing him on the Raiders, seeing him actually do good was a very good thing. Like I like that he's been consistent with us every year. Like without the injuries, he could have done way more. But I think he's the type of guy that you don't he doesn't like to come off the field for one. Like he likes to be in there. He's gonna fight to the end. He's not a quitter by any means, and he's very valuable to what we do. I don't know if you remember about a year or so ago when he was our closer. Like we used to, when we were actually winning, a couple games. Like that year we went to the playoffs. Like he was like, man, let me close it out. Let me close. Let me be the closer. And like we had success with that. And I think this year, due to the injuries and everything, like or actually due to the new system, new coaches, and I think they were looking to kind of save money financially. And they were like, oh, he's been injured. He's probably going to be injured this year. And the man led the league in rushing. You know what I mean? So I think it just kind of put them in a situation where, yeah, he's a great back, great person, but I think for what they're trying to do financially, it's kind of putting a wrench in their plan. But my hopes is they can find a way to meet in the middle. Like it may not, because the 10, anything above the 10, I believe is a win for him. Like I see 12, like I see 12 million a year, like kind of being really the the cap. Like I would like to, because I mean, I'm not saying he's not worth it. It's just like I'm looking at it kind of like the franchise is too. Like if he gets injured or something like that, that's just money kind of down the drain. But he is a valuable piece to our offense. Like he would take a lot of pressure off Jimmy. Like it'll make our offense pretty much complete because it'll you can't crowd the line because you got Devontae out there, you got Jacoby, you got Mike, you got Mayers, you got all these weapons. So, but without the threat of him being able to run and a lot of people say he doesn't break these runs, but he has got loose and won some games for us at the end. So, he definitely has that in him.
Hmm. Yeah, and of course, I was speaking about that because for me, Josh Jacobs became one of the most powerful running backs that we ever see because he just broke like an impossible record. And I just tried to tell to everybody else to pay that man.
Yeah.
And I guess it's gonna be like a really difficult to debate about it. And speaking about Jimmy Garoppolo, because on one of the topics that became before the draft is because right now Derek Carr is gone. He's out. We had to move the page right here because after 9 years of being like the quarterback number one for the Raiders, he just moved out to another place like the New Orleans Saints. And right now we got the new quarterback, which is Jimmy Garoppolo, a former Patriot, who understands really better with the system of Josh McDaniels. And of course, he was a former San Francisco Niners. And they have it at some really potential right here because if Jimmy Garoppolo could still healthy at 100%, that could be like the possibility could run. Some of the fans that really like Jimmy G, some of the fans they don't. But I would say this because right now we got to enter to a new era because right now Derek Carr is gone. He's done. He's moved out to another team because we had to pass in another page. Let's go to like a new page for the history of the Raiders. But tell me about the impression about signing Jimmy Garoppolo and how can really understand that about the system of Josh McDaniels if he can really still healthy at the beginning of the season.
I think um so like the expectation like is kind of high because a year ago we were just a playoff team, and it was the struggles of last year that led us to go in a different direction with the quarterback. And at first we were thinking it was Tom Brady, it was going to be Aaron Rodgers, and all this, and then the Jimmy G news kind of surprised me a little bit. So I at first kind of looked at it like um, I was glad to kind of refresh and kind of restart a little bit, but I thought it was kind of at first a lateral move. But when you look at his record and you look at what they've done, like, and he hasn't made a lot of mistakes. Like our our past quarterback, we can count the mistakes, like, but of course we don't watch a lot of Niner games, but we can't help but notice that they were winning. Like, yes, the defense was a large part of that, but he didn't lose games for them. So it was and I give him credit too, because if you look at his wide receiver cast like this last couple years, I mean, there wasn't really anybody spectacular for him to throw to. Like he had Kittle, uh, Debo was like a was really one of their main threats. But I mean, as far as like wide receiver greats, there was nobody. So I mean, for what he had to work with, he and they were still winning. So like I think we're not going to really know until we see how he responds after the surgery and gets on the field and stuff like that. But I feel if he comes in and he's healthy and he does what he did for San Francisco, I think we're good. I mean, I personally am relieved that we're going a different direction at quarterback anyway. So Jimmy G was definitely better than what it was looking like before when we had Garbers and like Hoyer and stuff like that. So it's good to see, and I feel like even if Jimmy doesn't work out, we got a backup, I think, in O'Connell that can step in and I know they were kind of talking about Carson Wentz and all that kind of stuff, but I think Jimmy's going to be ready. I think he's going to be good. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, and then of course about the case of Jimmy Garoppolo because I just wanted to expect that Jimmy Garoppolo could be like really better because if Jimmy Garoppolo could still healthy, that we can like improve it more. But there's also not gonna be like the two slots for this training camp right here because right now they just drafted Aiden O'Connor for Purdue, and of course they got and of course they got the Chase Garber for the position number two. But I think it's gonna be like a battle between Aiden O'Connor or Gaber to be like at the position number two quarterback. Because if Jimmy Garoppolo is getting like an injured, so they might either go to the stake of the opener with O'Connor or Garber. So any of the thoughts that are about the Aiden O'Connor or Garber is getting like to the position if Jimmy G is injured, so either to get like the battle between O'Connor or Garber, who's gonna be like the quarterback number two when it comes to training camp.
Mhm. I definitely agree too. And so remember last year, Derek Carr didn't play in the preseason and stuff like that. So I'm really curious to
Yeah.
see with, the Jimmy situation, who's gonna be battling. Like is it gonna be, is it gonna be? I hope it is Garbers and O'Connell. Like Hoyer, I think will be the kind of veteran backup plan, like kind of worst case scenario, just in case. Like say if Jimmy's not ready, we put the kid in, and he, say he struggles, then we have to go to Hoyer. You know what I mean, just to kind of stay afloat. But I don't know. I think we're set up good, man. I think like no one's really worried. Like like McDaniel's is not really worried. They're not really, so they must know something we don't. So just having trust in, and I guess we're gonna just believe it's gonna happen until it doesn't.
Hmm. Yeah, and of course, I was speaking about that because I would love to see like a battle between Ed O'Connor and then, of course, Garber for the position number two because it all depends for the intensity, the speed. Everybody else is getting like ready to everybody or something. And of course, we're just speaking about how do you get to improve the defense? Because one of the topics that we're talking about is the defense that we got for the Las Vegas Raiders. So right now we got linebackers, cornerbacks, and of course we got tight ends, wide receivers. I mean, if they had a little more to anybody else, because I just wanted because exactly just one, because we're just talking about Marcus Peters. But right now, currently, the Raiders have the Justice to see with a $2 million in available money under the cap, which is the third lowest available in the NFL. And if we had to learn about something about the salary cap, it's because they had to find more dollars to figure it out. Isn't that difficult? Because usually it comes with a restructuring the players the contract to convert like the base salary into a signing bus. If there's a player had to go pretty sure they wants to keep them more several years. But also they have like the cutting like the trading highest player. Also they have oftentimes with the route that leads up dead money. So give me your thoughts about how important it's gonna be like to improve the defense and of course cap space. And before that, they could go to the preseason. Who's gonna be like one of those players that being cut because of due for the cap space they got for the Raiders?
Ooh. So one that I think is gonna be kind of like a surprise, possibly, but don't quote me on this. But Colton Miller, because I see him as being, a piece that's been there for a while, and not to revert back to the Patriot way, but they like to cut players before they get to that point where they're, they lost this, they lost their lost a step. So and his contract is a little hefty, so like that's one I can definitely see. That's really the one of the biggest ones I can see because everyone else we're pretty much kind of keeping. Um, Keelan Cole, I think he's probably gonna be on his. I feel like he's gonna be on his way out. I think they they knew what kind of he was coming off injury and stuff like that. They needed someone that could pretty much do the job because last year we were really strapped for money, so we kind of took a lot of small contracts, and we got the same kind of production out of it. So
Mhm. Yeah, but because part of the cap space because they might have cut the players who doesn't have like a it doesn't have it like the seven betrayal right there because of the intensity. But I think that when it comes to the money cap space, I think the most reasonable is cut players who doesn't have it like a great season or he's been like in a something like that for like in a power intensity all about that. And I agree with you because I'm Colton Miller. It doesn't have it doesn't have like a great productivity right now for this season. But right now, it seems like they had to cut some players who doesn't have right, and of course they had something to set them up for the cut players who doesn't feel like they have a great season, but they might have to cut up because they're about to do strange. Because not only did just sending, they just signed Devontae Adams 1 year ago, but also they had the extension of Max Crosby, and of course there are some players, we can like the extension anybody to have to go for free agency. I mean, everything could happen like this. And of course, with speaking about of what's happening for the cash space right now, let's talk about Divine Diablo because at first, what I would see for the interview right now, he would just say like the newest kid on the town, but right now he's feel more confident. And we just see like there are a lot of things that have to improve for all the season because last year Devon Diablo was like feeling like the new in the class or like the new kid, and he doesn't like because he was really nervous. But right now, look how improved Devon Diablo also for the cans right here, and it's gonna be like the breakout season. So give your thoughts if Devon Diablo is gonna be like the breakout season after he was getting nervous after the first season he was drafted for the first time for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, he had a interesting rookie year, to say the least. Because remember, he was the one that called out his teammates, for quitting, quitting early and stuff like that. And we were like, wow, that's good coming from a rookie, like, and him to change positions, going from safety to linebacker. And I think last year was him the first year was kind of getting his bearings. We didn't really get to see since the broken hand like kind of cut his season a little short. And I think it looked like he was kind of coming into his own, because he was always there. He was getting tackles, but like I said, he broke his hand, and that took a lot. So it was, we had a lot of broken hands last year, and that really messed our defense up. And like, if he can bounce back, like that's the thing. Like if he can come back, he's a when they said him and Spillane were working together, like as co-pilots on the D. It was cool to see that they were working together because I mean they're gonna learn from each other too. Because I mean Diablo's still young, so he's still learning and everything too. And Spillane's came from a great defense, and that he's gonna definitely teach him some things too. And he's surrounded by some great players, and it really makes it easy for him to do his job because he's really surrounded by Max. He's got Chandler. He's got hopefully Marcus Peters coming. But
Mhm.
we've got all these he's got all these players that can, get to the quarterback, and it's like all he has to do is just really just trust his eyes cuz that's the thing, like they were saying he was a little hesitant with, his decision making. So if he can just trust what he sees, and just communicate. That's all you can do, man. Just be ready for your opportunity.
hmm Because and what I just found of Divine Diablo about the season because he was really like a very confident because he was really, really, really nervous about for the first season. But I just saw for the improvement right now for Divine Diablo, he's gonna be ready to take over for the Raiders defense. And I think it's gonna replace him with innocent enough, but he has it a four format has been colored like the 10 pyramids, the elements under the play. But Diablo will not return, and not just only for the game, but the entire season. And he was thinking that about it, this arm was broken, but he was just something too heavy. But he was just dropped out for the mini camp. He hasn't taken on more like the expansion of this season. He's spending a lot of lessons, in the found for the 200 because with that knowledge and the confidence about himself, because that guy he's going to enter it in the third NFL season. It is the most going to enter it at the Raiders line of back room because he's not a Rashad that was speaking as bad as a rookie after anything. But I would say that with the defense in general, the linebackers corps in particular, they can use the kind of shape, the leadership and motivation because They were like this stuff for Devon Diablo. He was working in like in the last year. There's like communication, leadership, and of course like the ability in there. Also, they had to learn that how to be like a linebacker in this league because of for the conference and of course the chemistry they have with the Patrick Grahams, which is something that are really, really, really important. And of course, what are the like? Because not only Devon Diablo could have it a breakout season, but uh, but it seems like it because not only Josh Jacobs, they have like a franchise tag. But I would tell you this for anybody: is Chandler Jones' worst contract are the worst at the NFL? Because right now Chandler Jones has only 10 sacks with the Arizona Cardinals, and of course they just signed up for Las Vegas Raiders. But I think that it because he has 2 years left of this contract. And I think they initially signed a contract where they're 52 million over 3 years, including 31 million in guarantee. Because the dropout was very nice. Because I think the dropout they were the Raiders are doing like at the big contract of player that on the wrong side, which is on 30, this play being up with the league's top upcoming in edge rushers, which is Max Crosby. And Chandler Jones' negotiation with Las Vegas, he went so poorly that he makes that. I don't think it's very important to see how Chandler Johnson was good because I think it was so poorly because every reason the measure like at the 4 sacks in 50 contests with his area like at the 63 for these efforts. I mean, but it comes because he was very determined as a Arizona Cardinals. But I would say that they have much of the production they came from the lack of production they seen for the performance as they go for it. So give me your thoughts about how this the worst the thing that about for Chandler Jones. He's gonna have like the worst contract in the NFL. Is he not getting enough of that much productivity he had to go for that season?
I think that's why people were upset when when the whole Rocky Sin, uh, Yannick trade pretty much happened because there was him and Max were Yannick and Max were pretty much meeting at the quarterback, and they were getting production, and then he gets traded to I think it was Indianapolis, and he had I think 8 sacks, and then look at what Chandler did. So I mean, it looks like we had something, but I don't know if it was a money thing or what the deal was between them. Why they kind of got rid of him, but yeah, I don't know. I think yeah, to get the player was a good thing because Chandler Jones, was a good player. Like he was. So they looked at how he was giving Russell Wilson a hard time. Like I think he sacked Russell the most times or something like that. I'm not sure the numbers, but yeah. So I think just the price was a little too high. I think the price was just way too high. Yeah, it was get the player, but that contract was a little hefty. Um, but if he comes back this year, and doubles up, hopefully, his contribution from last year, I think it'll definitely help the defense. I mean, I think we're, by us putting better pieces around him too. Like we got, uh, Tyree Wilson to come in. I don't know the situation with Jordan Willis or whatever, but we actually got some vets that know the game that have been successful in other places, and I think pretty much everybody together, should make him better, and it should take a lot less pressure because I mean, a lot of people, were thinking maybe he was getting double teamed and stuff like that, so that's why he wasn't getting results, but Max is getting double teamed on the other side too, but we just need to really get that push because I think that's why we kind of focused on DTs this year too to kind of get them that help too because yeah, they're coming off those edge but they're not getting any push up front, so it's not really helping.
Hmm. Yeah, that's right. And of course, I'm speaking about Tyree Wilson because after the draft, we have some big moves right here because not only we just draft Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech, which is really incredible, and I just saw what other film studies, but also we just signed up for Michael Mayer, a tight end from Notre Dame, which is terrifically good. I mean, it's if Ron Gronkowski and of course Travis Kelce reunited like at the tight end, I mean, he has the potential. He has a piece. I mean, he has an incredible season for the Notre Dame. And I was watching for the film study, and I think this is gonna be like the what do they call this thing that I would draft for the Raiders as a tight end, because after they just drafted Darren Waller as a tight end for the Raiders, they just moved out to New York Giants. I feel that this is going to be like the opportunity to see Michael Mayer as a tight end for the Raiders, and I think this is going to be like so ready because I mean, look at this career for the Notre Dame, and of course, if you guys see the film study that about the Raiders of Michael Mayer. This guy has really great potential, and that guy can really, really, really resolve all those red issues that we got during that last season. I think it's really perfect. And of course, for Tyler Wilson, it's just like phenomenal, just like really, really phenomenal. And I think that we just hit the jackpot because all over those last years, we just hit rock bottom for all these draft picks. But right now, it seems like we just hit like a little bit of jackpot between Michael Mayer and of course Tyree Wilson. And can you give us a little thoughts about Tyree Wilson and of course Michael Mayer from the draft that we did speaking about of the NFL draft that we got Tyree Wilson, Michael Mayer. So give me any thoughts about that.
Definitely. So like we talked about earlier, I think a lot of people were kind of set on Jalen Carter or Gonzalez, Weatherspoon, and when you looked at our depth chart, like we really did need an edge because we had Chandler, we had Max, we had Kuntz, and then after that it was kind of shaky. So I like the pick. I just want to see him come back healthy. That's the biggest thing. Just want the guy to come back healthy, and just I think he can be. I think he could be a big part, like either a third down, to give Max and them a. But I want to really see that NASCAR package where you got them all coming. And you got Chandler on that edge too. But I like, it's I think it shocked us all, kind of. There's a couple of people that picked, but yeah, it was a shocker for me. But after seeing the film studies and hearing people talk about him, I like his work ethic. He's just like a Max Crosby. Like he works, he always wants to learn. They say he's always asking questions, always trying to get better. So, and that's what you definitely need. We've had too many kind of cocky players that wouldn't listen and wouldn't buy into what we're trying to do. And Michael Mayer, I'm very excited to see him. I didn't think we were going to get any of the top tight ends by no means, but in fact we got pretty much one of the best in the draft class. So um, we tight ends have always been a Raider like staple too. From like the Zach Millers to like when we had Waller. Um, it's definitely so I like him because he doesn't mind blocking. Like one of the things they say, he'll put you in the dirt. So he definitely likes to get in there. He gets nasty with it. So I definitely think this offense will be so much better. Because it depends on who kind of works out more. Is it OJ Howard? Will it be Austin Hooper? So who's going to be? And I think he's going to be pretty much an upgrade of what we pretty much lost in Foster Moreau. Because I think he can do pretty much a little bit more, and his ceiling's a little bit higher. You know what I mean? And so I think um, we pretty much got a 2-for-1. Austin Hooper, OJ Howard. So for Waller, so basically we got two pretty good tight ends, and they're good blocking tight ends, which will open up the running game for Josh. That's what I definitely enjoy about having these guys because uh, Waller was Waller was not the best blocker, because he was more of the catching, more
Yeah.
wide receiver type, and he definitely lacked in the blocking department. But I know Hooper's a pretty good blocker too, and OJ Howard's he's a big guy too, and he can definitely get in the way. So I mean, I I want to see I just want to see them all put it together.
Hmm. Yeah, that's right. And of course, I just wanted to say thanks for coming out for the chat right here and to see you, Nation Nightmare, Rita Cortez, Kohler, Holly Tanner, of course, Tales by Diesel, also chat, NorCal Jesse, Butterfly. Thanks to everybody else under the chat for hanging out because this is like a special episode for Super and Black Experience. And of course, we can talk about the Raiders. So there's one last thing before we can wrap up the show. So I know you're a Raiders fan for a long time. So do you have like a great memory that you cannot forget as a Raiders fan? Do you have like a memory that you can watch it all over again and this
Oh
incredible moment that you capture as a Raiders fan?
oh man, so it was basically when we made the Super Bowl, and the Loonies, I'm a Raider, Oakland Raid. So like
Ah, they have
we
okay.
we rode through the city after we beat the Titans, and like we rode through the city just bumping that song all night. It was a crazy night. Another oh so I went to the 49er Raider preseason game. And so it's like early in the morning, right? Like we're at the hotel kind of right by the arena. I
Wow.
think it was the Hyatt. And
Mhm.
so it's like I want to say almost 6 in the morning. And so I was gonna go downstairs. I'm like, man, I need coffee first. So I pressed the button on the elevator. I'm on my phone, and then the elevator opens up, and I think I'm dreaming. It's John Gruden and Solomon Thomas. And so I'm like,
Oh yeah, I remember this. Yes.
so it's yeah. So I look, I'm like, wait, no, I'm dreaming. And so John Gruden's like, hey, you coming on or what? So I hop on. I was like, this is crazy, And then like, I was like, hey man, you know what I'm saying? Introduce myself and stuff like that. And he was like, man, you want a picture? I was like, hell yeah. So like, I'm all fumbling with my phone trying to get it because I ain't trying to take hella time for him, but it was cool, man. Like just to see him, like he was a cool dude. Like he was hella chill. Like we chopped it up for a little bit, but it was cool. And then that it sucks because that was the year that all the emails and stuff like that came out. But you know, yeah, it
Mhm.
sucked. But yeah.
Yeah, and then of course, this is something like a real incredible because I love to have like a great conversations with some Raiders fans talking about stats and of course the history and of course those memories that you can never forget as a Raider fan. Because I remember that I was seeing a YouTube video about of how very impressive about the Raider Nation because not only just only for the United States but also just like worldwide because they had so many fans right now in United Kingdom, Japan, there's in Korea, there's in Mexico, Nicaragua. They're everywhere because they're part of the family and of course they understand about how really important is about one of the biggest teams ever in the history of the NFL with a great fan base. And of course, there are a lot of die-hard fans. For example, there is a Maybe Wayne as a violator, Captain Jack, also Senor Raider, and Power Ranger Raider because they know because they belong with the DNA about the Raider Nation. And I love to see all these videos and I love to be part of the Raider Nation. And of course, I was living in North Carolina, but I think this is going to be like the really important about it because the Raider Nation had the biggest fan base in the entire world. And I'm not kidding because they know exactly about what's happening for the team. But because no matter what happens, because just like LW say, just win, baby.
Just win, baby. Like we've always been that fan base, man. Like we've always been like I always say, like the underdog. You know what I mean? Like we've had everyone against us, from the league to the Patriots you know what I mean? That whole and it's like it is a family. Like my first game I ever went to, like I got dropped off at the game, and I'm there pretty much by myself, and like man, I've never got so much love. You know what I'm saying? Like people were giving me drinks and like offering me joints and stuff, like what I mean? Like it was so crazy. But it's just like if you're wearing silver and black, if you're wearing that Raider, Raider anything, t-shirt, hat, whatever, like your family, like like I grew up, I was adopted, so like for me, family was a little different. Like blood family kind of wasn't family to me. Family was like the people that we went through, hard times and through the struggle together. And like as Raider fans, that's it. We've struggled. We went through it together, but at the end of the day, as hurt as we are after losses, we come together. For the next Sunday, like all right, we may have lost that one, but we're gonna get this next one. Let's go. There's always a confidence. It doesn't matter who we're playing. It doesn't matter. Like if there's a Super Bowl champions, we always feel we have a chance, and I'll take that any day of the week.
Hmm. Yeah, that's right. And of course, we have it at like at the 42 minutes right here because it's been like another special episode for Similar Black Experience with your host Rafael Jasin, as known as el Capitán Rafucho, and of course our special guest Raider Nation Jasin. So, Raider Nation Jasin, how can we find you? Because what are the people they want to know? How can you find it? How can we find you on YouTube channels so we can see it like at a really had an important about the content right here.
Yeah, definitely. Raider Nation Jasin, Jasin. Closer to the season, we're gonna get a lot of stuff going. We're gonna have skits going. We're gonna have a lot of comedy. I'm gonna actually do a stand-up comedy stream. So
Oh,
yeah, it's gonna be funny because like it was something that like I hadn't kind of it's probably been done whatever, but I thought the nation needs something like that. Just something funny like it'll be a little mix of just things going on in the season and stuff like that, or just with local news and stuff like that. But we're gonna have a lot of fun, man. I think it's just been a lot stressful. I think with all the I think the losing, has a lot to do with it, because I mean, we want to talk smack. Like, Raider fans, we like to talk smack. We definitely want to, we want our team to do well, and we want the other teams to know when we're doing well. So, um, yeah, definitely check me out. There's going to be a lot more content. I've enjoyed, working with you guys, like you, Holly, Death Star Report with Cortez, just shout to everybody, man, that's been, just very positive and very supportive. And like I said, it's the Raider family, man. So, we are all going to make it together. So, let's go
mhm.
Raiders.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, it's been like a great another special episode for Civil and Black Experience before the training camp, before the preseason. And of course, make sure to subscribe not only to my channel, Rafael Chasin, as known as El Capitán Rafucho, but also make sure to subscribe this guy right here, Raider Nation Jasin, which is totally amazing. And of course, it's been like a great episode of a Civil and Black Experience before the training camp, before the preseason, before the regular season for Las Vegas Raiders. And of course, it's been like a pleasure. So thank you, Raider Nation Jason, for joining us for this special episode. And of course, just like I'll Davis say, just win,
Just
baby.
win,
And of course,
baby.
yes. And of course,
Yes, sir.
I was there next time on the same channel. And of course, at the same spot, which is Rafael Chasin, as known as El Capitán Rafucho. So I will see you there. Peace
Yes,
out.
sir.
You tell them one thing. Just win, baby.